We've got about 20 minutes at the end of the day. What I wanted to do is give an opportunity for people to talk about the Responsible Tourism Awards, which this year, as you know, have for the first time been taken over and are now being run by WTM. So they've moved from being the awards organised by responsibletravel.com, and they've shifted over, they're now being run by by WTM. They're the WTM Responsible Tourism Awards. We've kept in place the same processes and the same judging criteria. This year's been a transition. We've focused very heavily on the Sustainable Development Goals because in the International Year of Sustainable Tourism for Development, we wanted to focus heavily on getting people to provide the evidence that change was happening. And if you come to the awards tomorrow, you'll see that we have found a good number of businesses which can now demonstrate the kinds of positive impacts they're having, and also some which are looking at their negative impacts, which is quite a big step forward for the awards. So what I wanted to do today was to give you an opportunity to talk about the awards, but before we do that, to hear from 4 people, some of whom have run awards, some of whom are running awards, and some of whom aspire to run awards, about their perspectives on why the WTM's Responsible Tourism Awards matter. Effectively, what we've begun to do is to create a family of awards, which with the global ones here in London, but I'm not giving anything away if I tell you that 5 of the finalists tomorrow are from Africa, and 3 of them are from South Africa. Even more noise. The point is that by having this series of awards around the world, we're getting to a far bigger coverage, makes the competition at the centre tougher, but it's also good that we're engaging with more people. But James, I was going to ask you to go first, because you've actually been running the Irish Awards for a while, and it'd be interesting to hear how you see it, what the problems are of making them work.
Hello there. I'll try and compete with the drums. So I set up the Irish Centre for Responsible Tourism 4 years ago, after a bit of badgering from Harold, as a way of celebrating and promoting businesses that have a responsible tourism approach in Ireland. And I decided the best way to raise the profile of those businesses and destinations in Ireland was with a responsible tourism conference and awards in Ireland. So far I've held 4 annual conferences on responsible tourism awards, on responsible tourism in Dublin, and I've held the Irish Responsible Tourism Awards in 2015 and 2016. The awards have attracted hundreds of entries from every county in Ireland, far more than I thought it was going to attract. And it's also got a lot of national press coverage as well. It got a lot of coverage for those businesses in Ireland. So the awards are not an accreditation scheme. They're not about certifying a business as being responsible. They're about identifying and celebrating innovation in the tourism industry. It's about inspiring change. It's about recognizing those organizations that are demonstrating best practice, those that inspire and those that are replicable. The 2015 awards they took place in Dublin with, I'll show you the categories there. There's almost 400 entries for those. I can't go through all the different businesses there, but if you go to the website ICRT.ie, then there's information on that website about those different businesses and why they won, why they were different. In 2016, again, the categories mirrored the World Awards, and this was important. The Irish Awards were linked to the World Awards, and 3 of the Irish Gold Awards in 2015 went on to win World Responsible Tourism Awards in that year. This includes Connemara Wild Escapes, who you can find over on the Irish stand. They won a silver award for engaging people and cultures. So, to cut to the chase, how do you run Responsible Tourism Awards? So the process from start to finish, basically you have to decide what the awards categories are, We did that in conjunction with the World Awards and writing up category details for that. It's writing up the application forms for the businesses and how they actually enter. It's compiling a judging panel and pulling those judges together of industry leaders that will be respected in terms of how they judge the awards. It's promoting the awards and encouraging those submissions. There's a huge amount of marketing and trying to contact different businesses that will be the best fit for the categories that you've chosen. It's also about replying to a huge amount of queries from different businesses, trying to work out which category they should be in, how they should apply, what they should put on their application form. And there's literally thousands of emails that come in during the application process. Then getting the judges to create a long list of 10 or 15 businesses per category that will have a chance of winning. Then a more detailed questionnaire is sent to each of those businesses for them to answer. And then you have to make sure that all those questionnaires and the references come back to you on time. And then again, it's about responding to the queries and then managing the judging panel. And then you have to actually have to have the awards themselves, which we've done as part of the Irish Responsible Tourism Conference. And then it's all about the actual logistics of that, the certificates, the press releases, photographers, and updating the website. So it sounds, that's the process. It sounds fairly simple, but what's needed to run that, it takes, the actual management of the award is about 10 days of time. The administration, 10 or 15 days. You have to buy in graphic design, and you have to update websites, and you have to have a mail-out system for the businesses that are applying. And then you also have to have a venue for the awards. So with all that, how do you sustain that? The key issue for me is that I've been running those awards as a private individual. It's very difficult to justify 10, 20 days of time every year to put into those awards. I think that Responsible Tourism Awards are a great way to connect people with best practice. They're a way to promote those ambassadors of change in the tourism industry. But the key to it is trying to make that sustainable into the future, over the 3 or 4 years. Thanks very much.
I think you should probably speak next if you'd like to. From Western Cape, the Minister of Economic Development and Opportunities. They, one of their agencies is Westgrow. But would you like to come and say a few words about the awards?
Thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. I think, first of all, Harold, Prof, I think the role that you play is amazing in helping us really position responsible tourism differently. And I think for us specifically, how do we make it part of our brand and part of our DNA? It was something that we spoke about earlier on one of these platforms. And for us in Africa, it's really great to see other areas around the world, but for us in Africa, it is really, really important. We need to make sure that it becomes our brand in Africa. We need to make sure that responsible tourism helps us create a future product that is sustainable and that is marketable. And for us, as you said, we've got a whole lot of entries that are from Africa here going to be judged tomorrow. I hope you're all going to be there to come and see us win one of those awards. But it is also about us as a province and as a region in South Africa sponsoring this program, because we need to make it part of our DNA. And so we will continue to support this program. We sponsor at the World Travel Market Africa platform through our trade marketing, trade and investment agency, Westgrow, and we will continue to support this because I do strongly believe, number one, in competitiveness. Tourism is a massively competitive industry, and if we want to make responsible tourism as part of that brand, we have to have these kind of platforms and we have to have these kind of competitions. So once again, thank you very much for creating this space for us, and we will continue to support this because I believe absolutely in recognizing it, in allowing that recognition to become your competitiveness.
I'd like to say a big thank you on behalf of ICRT South Africa. They're not here, but I know they're very grateful for the sponsorship that comes from Westgrow and from yourself. Thank you very much. Vinod, you're here from India, and I asked you to come along to say something about the India Responsible Tourism Awards, which you're lucky enough not to have to run, but they're run by Outlook India. But if you just give us a few words about why they matter in India, that would be very helpful.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to compliment WTM and Mr. Harold for making WTM 2017 as one seeing the biggest responsible tourism program ever. I'm sure that increased thrust on responsible tourism programs and expansion of RT Awards initiative will pave way to disseminate and percolate the virtues of responsible tourism all over the globe. Talking about India, friends, India has always been a proactive major contributor to the cause of responsible tourism. With Kerala as a real role model, the Tourism Ministry and the tourism industry in India have launched combinedly several responsible tourism initiatives in the near past. And these are surely to be upscaled and accelerated in the coming 5 years. Why I'm saying this with confidence is because responsible tourism is enshrined in the National Tourism Policy of India, which says, I quote, "Sustainability shall serve as a guiding star for the policy. The development of tourism shall be such that its ecological footprints remain as soft as possible. Neither overexploitation of natural resources shall be permitted, nor the carrying capacity of the destination ignored," unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the Responsible Tourism Awards. The Indian Responsible Tourism Awards, IRTA, brought about by Outlook India, is a regional partner of the WTM RT Awards. The first edition of these awards began in 2017, and Outlook India has announced that the next edition, that is 2018 edition, is scheduled for January next year to select winners in 8 categories. The process of evaluation of nominees by the jury is on, and the shortlist is scheduled to be announced on December 15th. For 2018 award, some additional steps have been included in the judging process to make it a fair contest. 1, on-site inspection of the shortlisted candidates will be done. Number 2, the jury and the Outlook can cross-check claims made by the shortlisted nominees. And thirdly, the questionnaires for long list contestants are more exhaustive to bring in greater transparency. I also wish to bring to your notice that the Tourism Ministry of India, in its annual National Tourism Awards categories, has included 4 awards related to sustainable tourism and responsible tourism. They are Best Responsible Tourism Project Initiative, Best Rural Tourism Project, Best Eco-Friendly Hotel, and for Best Civic Management. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure with increasing momentum in responsible tourism program at the global level, and with greater awareness about the virtues of responsible tourism, the next 5 years would bring in more competition amongst contestants for these awards. The initiative of bringing in more transparency and fairness in selection of the Responsible Tourism Awards will certainly see increased participation. I'm also sure that in the next 5 years should see more sister awards coming from other countries in addition to South Africa, India, and Ireland. Ladies and gentlemen, there has never been a better opportunity and more conducive and enabling environment than what it is now to catapult the agenda of responsible tourism to a higher orbit through increased responsible tourism intervention and programs and through responsible tourism awards. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much indeed, Vinod, and I'm looking forward to coming out to India for the judging those awards. It's always an interesting experience. Gustavo, do you want to talk to us about your aspirations for Latin America? I should say that Gustavo helps us with our program at WTM LAT and runs the Responsible Tourism program there.
Hey, good evening. I'm Gustavo from ICRT Brazil. Thanks, Harold. Thanks, WTM. And as Harold said, we are an aspiring awards to join the family. And after all that has been said, we know the beauty of recognizing the efforts over responsible tourism. But I wanted to bring some numbers to justify the necessity of having one edition in Latin America. So, where is it? So, from the World Tourism Awards here in WTM, from 2004 to last year, we've had, it doesn't work. Okay, there you go. 2 overall winners in Latin America, 12 gold winners, 22 silver winners or highly recommended. And then I asked myself, is that a good number? Well, if you consider the market share of Latin America compared to the world, maybe, yeah. But then I wasn't comfortable with that, and I just took an example from Responsible Travel website, and I see there are 570 programs in South America only, and then Central America, 189. So there is a lot going on in our continent, and we still represent a few in the World Responsible Tourism Awards, so we need to be shown. And then when you go and analyze the objectives of the awards for the World Responsible Tourism Awards, the one in Africa, and then our fellows from Ireland, we see that the objective is to promote change, and then we have to bring these stakeholders and key policy decision makers to policy decision makers to smaller enterprises to reflect, act, and do something for the responsible tourism. And then since edition 1 for WTM in Latin America, for sessions like this, we've had 20 sessions, usually talking about topics that concerns us more there, like wildlife, poverty relief, benchmarking on examples in South America, but we believe that this is not working well. What next? After having responsible tourism sessions, it's time we promote our own awards. And when should it be? Is it next year? Is it 2019, 2020? Well, we should just take the time it is necessary to make it happen, but we must make it happen. So our idea is that now we start promoting it next year, so initiatives, enterprises, they get aware of the possibility of having our award, and then we start organizing it following the premises of World Responsible Tourism Awards and making it happen in the Latin America edition. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Gustavo. I wanted now to give you an opportunity to comment on the awards or to ask questions. Answer came there, none. Does anybody have any comments on the awards or ideas about what the categories should be going forward? Splendid.
Thank you very much, Harold. I think just on the categories and the approach, I just want to congratulate the shift towards the focus on the umbrella of the SDGs, and to deeply encourage that categorization, if you want to call it that, to be at the heart of thinking about approaches to award processes in other countries, and also we sincerely hope it will be maintained here.
I think I can say with great confidence there's absolutely no doubt that it will be maintained here. I think that's for sure. The one thing that's come through, actually, lots of the sessions, and in different ways in each of the sessions, but in probably half the sessions, somebody said something about there needing to be more transparency and more evidence about what's actually being achieved. So people have been saying, what's the next step with certification? There needs to be more transparency about benchmarks. If your water consumption is going to be 25% less in 5 years, what does that mean in real terms? What's the baseline? And what I think we've done with the SDGs, but you'll have to judge this tomorrow when you see the awards presented, is I think we've found a number of companies who are being very transparent about what they've achieved. And I think that is where the difference will that's the next stage of this, where we begin to see people really being very transparent about what it is that's been achieved. And there are plenty of companies out there who are doing it, who for one reason or another didn't apply this year. So we will continue to pursue that line. You're one of the award winners in the audience. Do you want to say anything about what it means to win one?
For me, it's a beginning of lots of things, lots of more responsibility. And I think that's the same thing in India, or we share the same experience. There in Bonito, Mato Grosso do Sul, Brazil, I shared experience from Wales, you think, and sometimes I read something about South Africa, about little things that you can use there in Bonito or here or anywhere. It's very important. It's very important. And I wish Latin America travel. How I say Responsible Tourism Award Latin.
Thank you. There's perhaps one other thing that I'd like to say, and that is that, and it's in the presentation I made right at the beginning of yesterday. What we're seeing all too often now is people just using the words responsible tourism and responsible travel with no meaning behind it. And I think we are in danger of it now being used for greenwashing. So we need to be asking the question, exactly what have people done? That is the next obvious stage. And that's going to happen with certification. It was coming out this afternoon in the panel here. And indeed, one of the tour operators, one of the major tour operators, actually saying the benchmarks aren't tough enough. And to be honest, I was quite surprised to hear that. I mean, that was a major step forward for me. Rosa.
I was just wondering what the follow-up process is once if you've won an award, what happens after that? Is there anything that comes a year later or 5 years later?
The brief answer is no, because it's very difficult to resource. It's difficult to resource the awards, frankly, and that's very much been James's experience. I've really passed it now. But very much been James's experience. I think that is a challenge. We've not run the awards this year in Ireland because it's not been possible to get a sponsor. And that despite the fact that tourism in Ireland at the moment is booming like there's no tomorrow. I mean, it's just off the page in terms of the revenues, but they're not wanting to address responsible tourism. Laura.
We were winners in 2014, and what it did for us was we were pretty much alone in the fight in South Africa for animal rights, you know, where we were asking people to keep their hands off wildlife, you know, to not ride the elephants, to not pet the lions and feed them with bottles, and not to walk lions, cheetahs for that matter, and not to kiss monkeys, and you know, whatever. The wildlife selfie fad is huge in South Africa, and well, as you can imagine, we weren't the most popular kids on the block, but when we won the awards, Professor Harold came up to me and said, well, it's exactly what they did by giving us the award. We will still be swimming upstream, but it will give us, how can I say, it will put a lot of people behind us, so they're standing behind us, so it's not actually us on our own anymore. So, and now today I can proudly say in South Africa, the South African community as a whole is phasing out wildlife interaction bit by bit, and I can see a clear future for wild animals in South Africa where tourists will actually come visit our country and not be able to interact with the wild animals. And there's a simple slogan that we're pushing in South Africa called hands off our wildlife, because it's a very easy way to teach tourists what's wrong and what's right. If your hands are on the animal, it's wrong. If your hands are off, that's okay.
Thanks, Laura. We're going to wrap it up there. The show is closed, but we're back tomorrow, 11 o'clock on the global stage, please, for the awards this year. Can we thank the panel?
I wanted to say that I think something that was very profound there. Winning an award is a responsibility once you've got it. And I think that is, this is about responsible tourism, but once you become an award winner, you claim a different level of responsibility. And that was really great to hear. And I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to. So tourism makes for better people in the world, and responsible tourism makes for a better place and more responsible people in the world.
Thank you. And just to add to that, one of the things that is fundamental to responsible tourism is being based on evidence. It's the evidence base is what we need to increase. We've seen lots of evidence of that during the last 2 days. We'll see more tomorrow. But thank you very much for coming. Bye-bye.